This video is an instructional tool owned by the Division of Negros Oriental. The division acknowledges the intellectual property rights of the owner of the pictures, illustrations, music, and other similar materials used. This video is made to address the need of the learners of Negros Oriental, especially in this time of the pandemic.
Good day, students! How are you? I am Teacher Dexter, your facilitator. Last discussion, we talked about the 5 essentials of shielded metal arc welding, SMAW. Now, I have a question. What are the 5 essentials of shielded metal arc welding? Yes! Very good! The 5 essentials of shielded metal arc welding are correct electrode size, current, arc length, electrode angle, and travel speed. I am very glad that you all remember the 5 essentials of shielded metal arc welding, SMAW. Today, we are going to tackle about the fillet weld using 4 basic welding positions. Students, I encourage you to join me and listen, take notes, and apply this in your journey as future welders. In this lesson, we will go more in depth about welding positions. The 4 basic welding positions used in fillet weld are flat, horizontal, vertical, and overhead. The flat welding position is the easiest and the best position to weld. If the workpiece can be manipulated in a flat position, you better weld to that position. The common type of weld is fillet weld and the groove weld. And you can form the welds in all 4 positions. There are numbers that are used to designate the type of welding positions. 1. Flat position. 2. Horizontal position. 3. Vertical position. And 4. Overhead position. In addition, there are letters that designate the type of weld you will do for those positions. For example, F for fillet weld and G for groove weld. This time, we will focus on fillet weld. I am going to show to you how to make a welding positioner using the 4 welding positions.
And now for our lesson proper. We will make a welding positioner by applying fillet weld using 4 basic welding positions. Always remember to use appropriate PPE for welding and put safety as your most priority. Fillet weld using flat position 1F is the preferred welding position. For most welders, this position is the most easy, ergonomic, and safest position. In this position, the workpiece is flat and the electrode moves in horizontal direction. You weld on the top side of the workpiece. The common term for this kind of weld is flat position. Some welders call this downhand position. Fillet weld using horizontal position, 2F. In this position, the weld is on the upper side of the horizontal surface and against the vertical surface and along the horizontal plane. The potential issue for this welding position, which makes it more difficult than the flat weld, is that the molten metal can fall to the lower side of the joint and heat can rise to the upper side. However, weaving the electrode distributes heat equally and prevents the puddle running down and has the additional benefit of faster freezing. Fillet weld using vertical position, 3F. In the vertical position, the weld axis is almost vertical. This is what we call vertical down. The main problem faced for this position is that the molten metal tends to run down the joint and pile up at the bottom. This can be controlled by angling the welding electrode up to 45 degrees. In doing so, you ensure good fusion and prevents runoff. Another way of doing vertical position is the vertical up 10 to 15 degrees electrode angle. In most cases, welders uses vertical down during root pass and vertical up on the second and third pass, but it depends on the preference of the welder.
Fillet weld using overhead position, 4F. This position requires more skill due to the fact that the welding is performed on the underside of the joint. For overhead welding, The welder should wear a cap, coat, and cape, and the best possible PPE for welding. This is necessary to protect the welder from falling molten metal. The angle of the electrodes to the joint surface is the same as the other welding positions. The electrode is held almost straight to the weld axis for overhead welding. In this position, the metal deposited to the joint tends to sag on the plate, resulting in a bead with a higher crown. The travel angle of only 5 degrees to 10 degrees is suggested. The weaving motion is not required and keep the molten puddle small. If the weld puddle becomes too large, remove the flame for a moment in order to allow the molten metal to cool.
Now, let's check what you have learned by answering the following questions. Number 1. What is the easiest and safest welding position? Correct! Flat position. Number 2. What kind of welding position that weaving motion is not required? Correct! Overhead position. Number 3. This welding position makes the molten metal fall to the lower side of the joint, and heat can rise to the upper side. Correct! Horizontal position. Students, before we end our discussion, what have you learned for today's lesson? That's great! We've learned about fillet weld using 4 basic welding positions. And that ends our lesson. Always remember that safety is everyone's responsibility. That's all for today. See you next time.